Welcome back. So what you see here is the engine, obviously on the engine stand and flipped upside down. I've already taken the old pan off, and what you see here, this is the oil pickup tube and this is the windage tray. And the oil pickup tube is pretty self-explanatory. The oil pump, which is up in there, pulls oil in and sends it throughout the motor to lubricate everything. The windage tray, what happens is when you're driving around, the oil sloshes, and you don't want that. You want it to always kind of get settled back down, and sure, it'll move around a little bit as you do turns and starts and stops, but you don't want it splashing around in there. Get air in the oil, and that's not good. Also, the other thing that the windage tray does is keeps the oil from frothing with the crank, which is underneath it. I'll show another section here once I take out the pickup tube and the windage tray. So here's a look at the crankcase with the windage tray and the oil pickup tube off. And for those of you who've not seen the inside of an engine before, I thought I would just move it while standing here talking for a second. So the crank is kind of like the axle, if you will, on your bicycle, where one is up and one pedal is up and one pedal is down. And the way the pistons work is they're all in different positions, and the valves are opening and closing it with different timing, so that as the chamber fires, the crank is pushed in the same direction continuously. So that's what you see there as it's moving. It's kind of a little dance there of 8 connecting rods going into pistons in each of the cylinders, firing, spinning really fast, and then goes through the flex plate, which is this end here, and there you are. Here is the Holley pan retrofit for the LS motor, and it is part number 302-2. Yay! Okay, so what comes in the kit? Lots of stuff. Packing slip, yeah, exciting. That is a part of the bottom tray that fits in, again, so that the oil pickup goes through there and doesn't slosh. Bag of parts. Pickup tube. New pickup tube. We'll open that up. And then the new pan with the setup for the oil filter on the side. Anyway, so that's that. I will start to make the changes and keep filming. So I thought I'd go into a little more explanation about why we're changing a pan. The pan on the right, filthy and disgusting and huge, is the one that came out of the Tahoe. And as you can see, it's much deeper than the one on the left. The mating surface, the shape of it is identical where it mates to the block, but this pan is quite a bit deeper, and even in the section in the front of the motor, the thinner section is the front, the deeper part is the pan, and or the reservoir. And what happens with the original one is the frame cross member sits under that kind of that cutout, that dip, if you will. And when you take that motor and install it into a different vehicle, the geometry of that frequently changes. And so this pan has a very shallow bottom in the front and then a shallow section in the back with the reservoir. It still does a great job of keeping the engine appropriately lubed, and but that explains why you have to change the windage tray and the pickup tube for the oil reservoir, because what fits in there is not going to fit in there. And you could certainly try to alter the existing windage tray, but even the front of it is so gigantic it's not going to work. Plus the pickup tube is quite a bit more shallow there. So along with the box that we opened up yesterday with the pan and some of the miscellaneous parts, here is the new windage tray. One-handed. Yay. Okay, let me just rattle that forever. Yay, made it. So that's the windage tray. There's the windage tray, and it gets slightly altered. It is a factory windage tray off of a different engine, and Holly, who makes this pan, has worked out how you buy a stock part that costs next to nothing and then make a little alteration for it to work. So I'll show that as we're doing it. And then the last box is a new pan gasket, which back in the old days, all your gaskets were basically a cork material. And nowadays, they are finely machined aluminum with a rubber seal pressed into them. And they are all about a process getting them installed correctly, which I'll show as we put the pan back together. So here's the block with the windage tray slightly altered and the new oil pickup tube. And as you can see from before, quite a bit shorter. The alteration they have you make on this windage tray is this little cutout. And I'm going to guess it has to do with allowing fluids to get down that way, or perhaps some of the architecture of the pan. But this pan comes out of the box, and there's a complete piece of sheet metal there, and they just have you measure over and do a little cutout there. So there's that. Next part will be the details in the pan, and then the pan will go on. And now we have the block ready to receive the pan gasket and the pan. In each of the corners you'll see that there's a glob of RTV black silicone, and that is a required thing to do. The block steel, and then each cover is aluminum, and where they mate they want a little added goo there. So then the gasket gets laid in. Oop. Hey, how about we do it the right way? There we go. And you line that up as such. And then the pan will go on top, but I'm going to do that with two hands, park the video, and then get back to it. All right, pan is on, torqued, goo in the corners, everything aligned fine, and ready to go. So this was my Friday. I got a chance to package this up on the back of a U-Haul rental dolly, send it down to Richmond, and bye-bye Tahoe. As always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, see you soon.